Hello everyone, welcome back. In this part, we are going to cover how does government address adverse selection problem. So if you have any problems about the definition of adverse selection, government in insurance markets, I highly recommend you go to part 1 and start watching from part 1 of this chapter 12 in this role of social insurance. Okay? So, how does government address adverse selection in insurance markets? In the previous part, we covered how insurance companies in the 1980s were rejecting everybody in the San Francisco area because they thought everybody in the area, lots of people had AIDS, so they would flat out reject people. However, we know that even if those people had, some of them had conditions, some of them didn't, if you price an insurance actuarially fair, they're actually going to buy the insurance, even if it's high price. So government can help correct this kind of market failure. My question is, can government help correct? Yes, it can. So it can impose a mandate. It can tell everybody, you're going to buy insurance at this average price from the private company. So this is a mandate. If you remember, we had Obamacare, and that was a government mandate during that time. Everybody has to have health insurance. Government can offer insurance directly. This would have similar effects to you could correct for the adverse selection problem. You can subsidize private purchase of full insurance, so you can give people subsidies for buying health insurance. So this is basically, some people say that, oh, is it healthy subsidizing the sick? But that's how the insurance markets work. If only the unhealthy people bought the insurance, then insurance companies would go out of business. So for instance, I am relatively, thank goodness, healthy, and I do buy full insurance, but I don't fully utilize it. That's the point. In case something emergency happens. Actually, little bit TMI about my very dear sister. She's a professor of economics too. 2 days ago, she called me. She is in Portugal, professor, and she's by herself right now. No family with her. And she said, I'm going into an emergency surgery. So she had insurance. Actually, her university, through university insurance, paid $3,000. She is a perfectly healthy person, but adverse event can happen. So government can subsidize also private purchase of full insurance. She never used her insurance otherwise. Other reasons for government to intervene in the insurance markets, in addition to adverse selection, is externalities. Many people with no insurance, health insurance, this used to happen. I had dear friends who had cancer and they didn't have health insurance, and then they had a crazy insurance bill, like almost $500,000. They declared bankruptcy. This used to happen in the United States. The other reason government intervene in the insurance markets is the administrative costs, also redistribution of health provision, also paternalism. Paternalism is defined as government is kind of knowing the best for us, thinking that some citizens will be short-sighted and they won't, for instance, be saving for their retirement, right? So lots of people in the United States are undersaved in their retirement. Even at advanced ages, they don't have 401k accounts. They didn't save enough. So they only are going to rely on Social Security benefits, which is not a great plan. Being my student, you know you have to start saving in your 20s. When you get a raise, put that extra money in your account, in your fund, get some money market funds, mutual funds. Make sure your money grows. Okay, I'm not gonna turn this into an investment recommendation kind of video, but it's important. Okay, so let's talk about all of these one by one. Externalities and administrative costs. So underinsurance or being uninsured causes negative externalities to others in the economy. And whenever lots of people are underinsured, let's say my workplace provides us insurance, right? But let's say my employer did not provide insurance. What if my colleague got sick? They had a hip replacement, okay? And they had to pay out of their pocket. They would be out of the office for a long time. If they couldn't afford hip replacement, they would get sick all the time, or you don't have insurance, your children are going to get sick. So I am losing office work power. So that's a negative externality on my work. Let's talk about administrative cost of insurance. So there's economies of scale in the administrative costs. Government can actually intervene to reduce these costs. For instance, administrative cost, this is the cost of secretarial work, managers, admins, paperwork. Administrative cost for Medicare is less than 2% of claims paid. Administrative cost for private insurance is average 12%. My sister has an insurance agent in my home country. She's from Turkey too. She says her administrative cost is about 25%. She has a very high profile insurance agency. Let's talk about redistribution and paternalism. With full information, insurance premiums are going to vary tremendously. Okay, so genetic testing, for instance, right, may allow insurers to more accurately predict the healthcare costs. Let's say they did a test on me, I am more prone to, let's say, breast cancer. So insurance company can charge me high. Hey, you're prone to breast cancer, may God prevent, and we're gonna charge you more. But is this fair? I was dealt with this genetic lottery. Let's say it was bad. Why do I have to pay for it fully? Why can't we pool the risk? So that's the fairness issue. Paternalism is basically, as I explained it to you before, individuals may not adequately insure themselves unless government forces them. Even with government forcing, health insurance take-up has never reached 100% in this country. There were still people who were uninsured. All right, folks, in part 6, we'll talk about social and self-insurance. What is self-insurance? Self-insurance means putting away some money, $10,000, $5,000, in case some emergency comes up. In case there's a hurricane, Corpus Christi is a hurricane area, hurricane comes and tears my roof. Yes, company will pay, but they take time. Am I going to sit in a roofless home for months? No. I need some emergency cash to self-insure myself as well. Let's talk about that in the next part. Couple of things. Hit the like button, number 1, because you're helping other students all over the world watching my videos and benefiting from them. Number 2, subscribe. If you derived any benefit from this channel, subscribe. I'll see you in the next